Oh, I gotta make sound. Make sound. Sound, 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 sound. Sound, sound. Make sound. All right. I need to see if I have audio first before I proceed to give you what you need. All right. I think I got good audio. Hello and welcome, YouTube land. So we're back here again with another week of technology news. So pull up a chair, find your favorite soda or beverage, sit back and relax. Let's see, what do we have first? So some housekeeping first. If you want to know how to contact the show, the emails in the description, the Twitter/X handle is in the description for both my private and my for both the private and the public channel. And then let's see, to be able to contact the channel, if you want to submit, something that you would like for us to talk about, you want to hear discussed, maybe hear somebody's opinions on, at me on the channel and at me also within the same tag, the on my private Twitter handle also. That way I see it both. I get both notifications. And then, you can join the Patreon to join the channel and the memberships. Also, different levels of that. Uh, you get, behind the scenes access when it comes to that. So we're starting out small, working our way up. That's the whole goal. This evening, we are going to be discussing your favorite and my favorite, America's favorite, AT&T. Let's see, Apple, virtual reality, augmented reality, some music, more Apple pertaining to messaging, Google for search, vehicle technologies. Something new just popped up. I think that, it's been in the works for a while. This is something that I didn't know was even possible. And I'm going to discuss this about future transportation and talking about Ford, out with the old, in with the new, and out with the new. So let's go with the first story. Your favorite, my favorite, AT&T. Let's get this pulled up. Now, before I start talking about AT&T, the reason why we're talking about AT&T today is not because they decided they wanted to get ahead of their financials, which this is not a financial channel. I'm more tech related, and therefore I look at everything through the scopes of technology, not through the scopes of financial gain. So for me, what they do on their financial sheets do carry over on the tech side, but it's not a driving force for me to make decisions off of, nor would I suggest to somebody that you should take my advice when it comes to financial advice from a tech point of view. Is sometimes you got to take all the information that comes in, which obviously I'm gonna start talking about AT&T as a whole in their future, dealings Different websites, different people on YouTube were talking about AT&T this week, and I want to kind of culminate all that down to more of a technology focused front. So, what does that do for you? Are you an AT&T user? Are you an AT&T user on their wireline, their copper line, their wireless, or even their fiber? Depending on where you might stand, you might have a lot of stuff that you use as bundled together. This is why Yahoo Finance and a bunch of other entities were doing some analysis on AT&T this week, and I want to kind of give my 2.5 pence about what's going on with AT&T. My previous experience and what I'm seeing versus what they're saying. I mean, granted, I'm still a low time YouTuber, but I do think that it would bode well to be able to hold on. There we go. I think it will bode well to be able to give people an idea about what you can get a good idea about what AT&T is doing. So within this article, AT&T is basically saying, what Yahoo is reporting on is like AT&T $40 billion play and how it will dominate 5G and fiber by 2027. Well, that's very ambitious of them. Very ambitious. But I don't know how they're going to dominate 5G when they are in third place on 5G and perceivably, I would say maybe third or fourth place in fiber. Now, granted, here's the thing: AT&T being one of the oldest telecoms in America, to be behind like they are in fiber is a very, very bad look upon them. And I guess that, you got to come out and say something to your finance people. You know what I mean? You got to come out and say, hey, the roses are red and the violets are blue. Stick with us. What else can you do? That's kind of what they're doing right now. So with the information that I've gleaned from doing even network testing in different areas, I want to go different more places. I haven't been to the Midwest and speed test, but hopefully I might be able to get there soon. But I want to see what happens when I'm in an AT&T fiber dominated market where they put their own backhaul on their sites. Because currently, right now, AT&T is skimping on the speed here. So on the East Coast, they're not as northern East Coast, they're not as prevalent, and it's kind of showing. So AT&T looks to be doing a T-Mobile end around, but without adding the juice. They're putting, all their spectrum on air now. They have the DoD spectrum up. They have the C-band spectrum going up, which gives them good coverage, but there's no throughput. So if you're on AT&T in my area and you hit congestion, you can hit congestion pretty fast with not a lot of throughput on the back end. So that's what I'm starting to see. And then I got a couple of other places I wanted to speed test because the inauguration's coming up, and I want to show people what the mall is going to look like for AT&T also in comparison to their competitors. So Verizon is overdeveloped, T-Mobile has overdeveloped in my area, but AT&T has stopped just short of bringing the beans. And that's why when I read these articles like this one talking about a $40 billion play where are you going to go at? Where are you going to spend your money at? How are you planning on spending your money? Because if you're talking about dominance, you must be talking about dominance in return on investment. Are you talking about dominance in fiber, saying, hey, wherever we exist at, we're going to have the best fiber product? But remember, you got to expand all through America itself. So it makes it kind of difficult to start reading between the lines. And for me, as a network enthusiast, it's kind of hard to really look at AT&T seriously when they say stuff like dominating 5G, when they are the oldest telecom company and they're the ones that's making the least amount of movements. And when they do move, it's almost like, hey, we've exhausted every single thing we could do out of this said product. So you know, let's be more cheap. And that's kind of how I'm viewing these articles that are coming out. So like, not to bore you with the numbers, but basically, they're looking to hit 50 million new locations by 2029, expanding their 5G network to cover over 300 million people by 2026. Now, I think they're already going to hit that mark. I don't think that's going to be kind of hard for them. But also with the fact that they are working on transitioning away from Nokia and going all Ericsson. So the overall strategy is already being worked on currently right now. I just don't see much movement in the sense of huge push coming from AT&T. That's just my professional opinion, not from a financial opinion, more along the lines of, hey, what is AT&T going to be offering even their current users? So here's another one. Let's see if this one goes in more depth. This one should go in a little bit more depth, talking about the 500 million. Oh no, sorry, the 50 million passes. So basically, they want to try to get their fiber product near and around more you know buyers, more homes, more businesses. They want to get their fiber product out to more of the masses. And one of the bigger things has been, for me personally, is that because AT&T is the oldest, they are the one that's lagging behind everybody else. Where even fiber, even cable companies have been moving faster into transition into fiber than even AT&T has, and AT&T is now just talking about shutting down their legacy copper network. Now, keep in mind, there are still people in America currently right now that are on DSL or some type of DSL setup. Not to bore you with all the different types of DSL. I don't have them all on the top of my head either way, but there are different types. And just to say, we're talking about megabits per second, low 2, 3, 5, 10 megabits per second. When we're going to be able to do satellite telephone calls at 17 megabits per second to your handset. Faster than that, you got homes in America that literally are overall network wise barely getting 10 down, maybe a couple of hundred kilobits up. And AT&T is now starting to get rid of this legacy copper network. And they're going to call it, this is where it gets funny. They're going to call it AT&T Phone Advanced. So instead of going ahead and come up with ways to kind of rip the Band-Aid off, which a lot of legacy companies love to do from the looks of it, is they like to hold on to old technologies for longer. They, instead of going ahead and say, hey, look, you need to start upgrading. We're upgrading our network. This is just the natural progression of things. We're slowly just phasing these things out. Let's go ahead and just move forward. They're going into the opposite direction of, hey, let's hold on to this as long as we can, because apparently they didn't get enough of their return on investment back. So you end up keeping around a product that should have been already phased out. I say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even more. Uh, when fiber was introduced as a possible medium for communication, that should have been already on the books by phasing out copper. That's where I stand at when it comes to it. The problem you run into is AT&T being a very huge company, mm, might have a little bit of a cheap side to them, just a smidge. So now they call this AT&T Phone Advance, and basically the long and short of it is they're gonna just dump you onto their wireless product. So you're gonna still be able to do what we've been able to do for the last 15 years. You know, what was it? Was it phone jack? If you remember that, where you could basically turn your internet connection into a phone line out to a regular dial-up phone because it gave you a dial tone. That's kind of what they're doing. So they're taking an old technology and rehashing it out for today's people who, because they know it's going to take time because they haven't really been working on the network, and that's what they're kind of doing in the background and shutting down their copper legacy network. So let's see, where is that info? So right here it says AT&T will be interested, interested in new phone to shut down copper. I saw it. The only the only state that's not going to let them do what they're trying to get past the FCC is California. And you gotta love California. You gotta hate California. They are wonderful for advancement, but also stagnant when it comes to the lowest common denominator. You know, I feel like California's in this weird space where I love the fact that they are rushing to carbon neutrality, but then also you gotta hate them for this where you really do need to get away from copper and copper line and DSL because they'll just do better for the overall networks in general. And it still encourages AT&T not to improve said networks, which is kind of a very bad way of looking at it. But this is just my tech review on AT&T. I think that overall AT&T might be stretching it a little bit. That's just my professional opinion. I don't think that they're moving as fast as they might be letting on in their tech reviews and conferences that they want to hold. I think this a conference they had this week was at AT&T Stadium in Texas. So they're trying to show as much to as many people as possible. But more news will come out. We'll find out. Through network testing, going around different places, talking to different people. I had a wonderful conversation with a representative from Mississippi, and he did not have very nice things to say about AT&T. So different states do different things. Different companies do different things in different states. So let's see, what is the next one on up to bat? Where's that? Oh, I got it. I got it. All right. So if you have been following AR, VR, augmented reality, then you already know what happened earlier this year. Early January, February, Apple came out the break and revealed their high-end device to shock all people. Jim, what's up? What's up? What's going on? So So Tim Cook has confirmed production stopped on Apple's latest high-end device. Thank God, because it was embarrassing. Now, I would like to put this into more context. Let's see. Jim says Apple is a lost company. You know what? It's starting to show. I'm going to be honest. It is literally starting to show. They don't have that. They don't have that shine on them no more. They don't. They look vulnerable. I think like they're on this growth where it's kind of inevitable, but they don't really have the consumer at heart anymore. I feel like they've been drinking on their Kool-Aid, and you know what happens when you drink your Kool-Aid. But basically, when this came out, the Vision Pro came out, I was a very stark advocate against this. Part of the problem was I a dedicated device. Hold on. Let's see. Jim says, look at the stock, sir. No jump like Tesla and or Meta on Microsoft. Don't think red Kool-Aid. Yeah. Hey man, I love my red. I love my grape too. There you got that grape flavor Kool-Aid. But I think that the days of Apple's major growth, they're gonna have to really go back to the drawing board on the AR VR standpoint, because when they came out with this device, they did not have the consumer in mind. I think that what they thought was, hey, we're Apple, and people expect us to drop, you know, a gold brick in front of them and price it as such. And I don't think that they realize like people disdain it against it. Let's see. Jim says that Vision Pro Plus isn't going to save the company. They killed that electric car nonsense. Yes, they did. Actually, there was reports that Apple was going to buy Tesla, which they should have went on ahead and did in 2010. But then right about that time, Tesla stock jumped crazy. So that makes the billion-dollar man richer, and then all of a sudden he becomes unstoppable. But part of the issue, and I think like one of the reasons why you're starting to see Apple start talking about stopping production on this high-end device is, number one, it was beyond high-end for a lot of people. Yes, Jim, I agree. They made huge mistakes. Huge mistakes. My take on it has been this, and I have another article within this segment that I want to also bring up. One of the reasons why I feel like Apple jumped the broom on this one and thinking that, oh, well, we're Apple slash Gucci and Prada. We're up there with them when it comes to putting out products. So part of the problem is you a standalone device. Let's start from there. Nobody really truly wants another device they have to carry around that they have to do updates on. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Hold on. Jim says Tesla made a better portable wireless charger for a phone, and they didn't even make a phone. Hey, that is very true. I did like their approach. I just don't know if they mass produced it. I have not seen it. I remember seeing diagrams on it, but I don't think they ever got around to mass producing it. But when it comes to consumer electronics, multiple devices for people, I think people inherently will try things out if it's within a certain budgetary standpoint. That's kind of how I feel about it. But $3,500 takes it outside the realm of possibility when it comes to playing around with stuff. And you have people who bought it and turn around and send it back. And the people who kept it probably only use it just to show off their friends and family or watch a movie in silence when their loved one is near them and they don't want to be bothered. That's kind of where I think this Division Pro sits at with a lot of different people. But that's part of the biggest problem. Apple turned and looked at the Halo lens from Microsoft and was like, I think that we should go after the high end. And that's kind of where I think that's where they were looking at. Jim says, show everyone the Tesla portable wireless charger. It charges your headphones and phone at the same time. You know what? If you got a picture of it, man, hey, look, tag me on Twitter and then I'll show it up here. Let me know if you decide to do that so I could pull it up. But I'll be happy to show that. And no, I'm not doing free advertisement. But a lot of this comes from the fact that I think Apple was, feeling themselves a little too much. Here, let me pull up another one. Here we go. Apple Vision Pro records less than 500,000 units in sales in February, with internal data revealing reduced usage amongst buyers who kept the headset. So, see, it's difficult to put out a multi-layered product like this, which, don't get me wrong, from a technology standpoint, they packed a lot of juice into this headset. The problem is it's too many degrees of separation when it comes to usage. What do you use it for? How do you use it? How does it play well with what you already have existing? These things you have to ask yourself when you get ready to produce another product. The Apple Watch, good. People were finding use cases. You turn it into a health product, boom, it's recording, the heartbeat, the glucose, the whatever, your movement. Those things are good. It's a small device. That only thing you got to really worry about is keeping it charged. But the problem that you run into is this thing is big. It has its own carrying case. So that's just another big item I got to take around with me. What if you're trying to travel light and fast, but you got to fly? This thing is taking up a lot more space, and you got to check it out at TSA. You got to pull everything out, open it up, show people it's not anything dangerous, and that's just time wasted when you're standing in line. Jim, he says, I don't have the Elon Musk company. I have only Facebook and Blue Sky. I've been thinking about going to Blue Sky. I'm not sure how I'm gonna end up doing it. I'm probably gonna have to do a double account when it comes to Blue Sky myself. One for my personal and then one for the channel, so I can stay connected with the people. But with the Vision Pro, one of my biggest selling points about this is it never really tied back into your cell phone. People spend thousands of dollars on their cell phones. A lot of people upgrade their phones every year. But this didn't. You bought $1,000 phone, and this was a standalone device, and it did nothing except show that you had a phone call on the screen inside, which shows you how disconnected Apple was when it came to producing this product. Take the visualization that I'm showing right here on the screen, and look at it from this standpoint. What if there was just the goggles and your phone is the brick right here? Would this product be more appealing to you at that point? Would this product be more palatable when it comes to wanting to own it? Tesla tech guy, what's going on? Long time, long time, long time. But when it comes to technology, I feel like that there's a certain degree of usage that you will get from people that will try stuff and work with stuff and still be more useful to people if you can tie in that what their people use every day. And this product right here was not tied into people's everyday. It was an extra device that you had to take around. You had to make sure it charged up, which is going to kill off a lot of people, even no matter what the price is. You got to keep another battery charge, but that's going to kill, the usage right there by itself. Jim says that's still use light version, but a thicker version of the lightning port cable for the battery, which you could tell that they wasn't really thinking forward. They wanted to think proprietary. Now, think that comes with, the Vision Pro, and then look at this product here. So this product here, I have been wanting to get my hands on, but I ain't got enough money yet. If I got rid of my cell phone lines, I'd probably be able to afford it. But then I wouldn't have my YouTube channel. So it's kind of like a win lose lose win. But here we go. This is something I'm targeting myself to want to get my hands on. So this company called XReal. So XReal, if you don't know anything about this company, basically they make AR/VR heads glasses for everything. Your laptop, your phone, your gaming console, you name it. If it can pump out video over USB-C, it's gonna work. From what I can tell, and people talking about it. Let's see. Tesla Tech. Yes, I still drive for Uber/Lyft. More Uber than Lyft, but yes, I still do it. Hey, look, the what is it? The YouTube channel's not paying me yet, so I'm not monetized, but I'm enjoying the adventure. But let's see, XReal. So with XReal, if you're not sure what that is, basically there is glasses connected to a USB-C connector, and it connects directly to your phone. Anybody who knows about your cell phones, even the iPhone today, finally going USB-C, can be plugged into a HDMI to USB-C connector and displayed on your television. It has more use cases now than it had over the last 10 years, all because they got rid of Lightning. And then now you can plug these glasses directly into your iPhone and look at all your things that's on your phone directly in front of your eyeballs. So this is a more minimalistic approach when it comes to doing AR/VR. Hold on, let me catch up real quick. Jim says I'm breaking up. How does my sound? How do I sound? How do I sound? Let's see. Say you use Verizon to do your live streams. No, I'm actually on Comcast. I think that I've done some research, and I think it's my router. I need to upgrade my router. So My router is acting up on me. It's older. I need to update it. When it comes to AR/VR, this is what we're talking about. So I've been following the product line for a while. So the X Real Air 2 Ultras AR glasses. So they do an overlay directly in front of the lens. But then if you want, some of the ones got more sophisticated, and the lenses can start darkening and become darker. That way you can actually see. Let's say you wanted to watch a movie on your glasses, and you didn't want nobody else to see. You want to be able to watch it in peace. This would be a good product to use. This got introduced, I think, about a year ago at CES. Was a very big hit. I've been following it. Been wanting to try to get me a pair. Being able to use my existing devices. Let's say I have my laptop and I'm doing something. Boom, I can just plug the glasses into that, because your laptop does video out through USB-C. It's probably packet loss. My router's older, and I think that it's just not able to keep up anymore. But let's see. The X Real, when it came out, they were trying to do more proprietary hardware, but I think that they realized that being able to be used on more devices gets you out there more, which is what I think a lot of companies are going to end up doing. You might even see a company like Apple might try to buy this company up, because I think that their traction is going to be a whole lot more prevalent going forward. This is probably going to be the more user-friendly way of getting people accustomed to AR and VR. It's something you already have, something you already own, you already understand the user interface, and then bam, you can go at it from there. Tell me in the comments below, or even in the chat, what you think. How do you might feel upon this? I think that we're gonna go AR VR anyway. The easier you make it, the better, and more people that will end up using it. That's just how I look at it. I got a lot more Apple news than I normally do. All right, so let me turn these ads off because I don't want to get copyright. But what music service do you prefer? I am a Google product user, so that makes me a YouTube music user. But there's people who use Spotify. Which one do you prefer? But this person who wrote this article apparently is going at Spotify and says that Apple Music is better. Now, not to put my overt bias on this, I did read the article, and there's some things that you could point out when you look at all the rest of the streaming services as a whole. But do you think that Apple Music is better than Spotify? I think that YouTube Music is better than Spotify and Apple Music combined. But for the sake of this article, they're talking about Apple Music and Spotify, and it says it's not even close. So, with Apple Music being launched in 2015, uh, that completed what I call the major trifecta of major streaming services. So, I think what Spotify came out in 2006, Google came out in like 2011, and understand Google's been through a different phase difference between the two. They had Google Play Music, and then they went YouTube Music transition by like 2020. So let's see. What does Apple Music offer? The biggest library and the best audio. See, now I cannot definitively say if Apple Music has better audio. Some people might call me cuckoo for cocoa puffs, but I will say this: I have bought Apple Music. I've let customers in my car use it, and I did not notice better audio quality when I was using it. I noticed that they made all put, I guess, whatever the Bluetooth standard is when it comes to music. They pushed it all the way to the max. But as the sense of quality, I did not notice it. Loudness, yes. Quality, never use Spotify, but Spotify is the number one, I think the number one in the world. So would you transition from Spotify to Apple Music for convenience, or do you actually think that Apple Music's better? I think a lot of people, this is just my opinion on it. I think a lot of people transition over to Apple Music out of convenience. You get a lot of different perks, like iCloud storage and Apple Arcade, and different other things that they offer. Even like say you're on Verizon and you doing, let's say you're doing uh what is it called? An iPhone upgrade every year on like Verizon, right? You literally one. Yes, I could see you seeing a person being on Apple Music. Jim says he is on YouTube Music. Welcome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would stay away from Apple. I'm not gonna say I would stay away. There's nothing that really compels me to be on Apple. You know what I mean? I mean, I have an iPhone. I use my iPhone, but I only use my iPhone because out of obligation of having one. I don't have an iPhone because I like iPhones. I feel that if I'm going to criticize or be critical of said company, I might as well have a product that's the most popular product that they've ever come out with and start using it. That the iPhone lacks a lot of features that even Samsung has. Case in point, as a content creator, you don't realize how much like you gotta reshoot, you gotta change shots, or make recordings, and you want to pause here while you set something up over there. On Samsung, I can record and I can pause my recording as if I've edited my recording, and then restart my recording after I finish pausing it. But on the iPhone, it's all or nothing. It's you record this, it's it. Period. I don't necessarily think that's a very good hardware setup when others are doing it better. So when you have all those different things all together that you get from being in the Apple universe, then I think that a lot of people just gravitate towards Apple Music. I'm not a big Apple Music fan. I don't necessarily think a lot of people who have Apple Music are fans of Apple Music. I take away the convenience, would they even have it? That's what I challenge people. If you were not in the if you were not paying for other services under Apple Music, would you buy it solely on the fact that it's Apple Music? I don't think so. I think that Spotify will become the better choice. Even though I'm not a Spotify fan, I think YouTube Music hands down destroys both of them. You get way more from a musical standpoint under YouTube Music than you do um Apple Music or even Spotify. But let's see, right here it says It's even talking about like audio compression sounds. It's within this article, part of the article right here. He said even though Bluetooth earbuds don't really give you the true sound because the standard for audio compression over Bluetooth is very bad. But I just think Apple just turns the volume up on it. You'd be surprised, sir. A lot of people do care. I mean, look, outside of tech nerds, which if you're a tech enthusiast, you would notice the difference. A lot of people who are not tech nerds do not like Apple products. They gravitate away from it. Uh, People who do IT or support for like family members do not like Apple. You talk to somebody who's in IT, they don't like iPhones, but they recognize that the people they have to support are on iPhones. Let's see. Talk about their computers. Hey, look, that's for another time, man. Look, that is a rant that I try not to go down. I try not to go down that rant too often. It's a long road. It's a very long road. But if you're an Apple Music user, answer this question for me. Do you have Apple Music because of convenience? Because you're using all the other products that Apple has, which is iCloud and Arcade and whatever other little knick-knack, paddywhack, and give a dog a bone they have? Or are you paying for Apple Music separately because you love it that much? Because if you're doing out of convenience, you might not like it as much as you think you do. But that's the question I'm presenting to the tech community. It's Jim. Congrats, Apple Music lovers. You people are paying too much. Hey, man. Companies got to figure out a way to make profits. All right. I was going to do that last Apple story, but it's a bit of complicated, and I barely understand it myself. So I'm going to skip over that one. And we're going to go. What am I doing? Google. So I'm going to presume that a lot of people that watch this channel, look at this channel, y'all are, you know, Googlers as I am. Y'all use Google search. But if you haven't started to see a major change in Google search of late, you might have been living underneath a rock. Even Google's CEO is saying that Google search is changing. So let's pull this one up. Alvin, he said, please don't insult the iCrap phones. Oh no, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. Hold on, let me close these ads. I need to find an article talking about these ads. The internet I'm losing my mind here. There's some good stories that I can't get access to, all because paywalls. If it's not a paywall, it's an ad. I want to support content creation, but yet, ah, these ads are getting atrocious. Let's see. Tesla Tech Guy says I use Gronk and Gemini. Okay, so case in point, like I obviously, if you're using search on Android phones or pretty much on the iPhone, you're probably using Gemini. And if at the top of the search, so let's say you do a search query for, what type of kittens are there in America, it will show you the Gemini search AI before it shows you different articles that it's pulling the data from. Now, does that bode well for how to aggregate a lot of the information real quickly? Yes. But it's also a double-edged sword because Google is a search engine first. And what's going to end up happening is people are going to try to find ways to game said search capabilities. And within this article, this is what is this from? Searchenginejournal.com. So with Search Engine Journal, they're basically, they had a sit down with the CEO and they're talking about how search is going to profoundly change in 2025. Let's see, Jim says ChatGPT sucks on iPhone. It's always failing when I use it. Oh, the problem with ChatGPT, and I don't really have a use case that I can say that I want to use it because number one, they're trying to actually bring their search capabilities to Samsung phones. I did a report on it, I think 2 weeks ago, when they're talking about Google and the DOJ. So ChatGPT is trying to get onto more devices, not just the iPhone, and it basically just comes down to data, and more data. The more data that you can digest or a company can digest, the better the query searches are going to become. Like even now, if you take Google search, 20 early 2000, like when they were basically out of the garage till now, profoundly bigger difference. Even 10 years ago, Google search till now, it's a way different search engine than it was before. You know, setting aside the Geminis, the Chat GPTs, all those different ones, even Gronk, I just think that at the core of all of these companies is going to be being able to deliver information to people quicker. And I think that Google is going to have the hardest time because they're the ones that have to defend their throne. Let's see, Tesla Tech Guy says, think about those kids that never left behind. They'll be forced to rely on those AI features to live. Some can't even spell, and iPhone use speech features featured at the same time. Yes, it is bad, but it comes from the fact of how fast we've been moving. The technology, I don't necessarily think that AI is a bad tool. The problem is is schools are not equipped to be able to keep up with said technology. And sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. Like case in point, I tell school teachers because if you talk to different schools, admins or even teachers, just go out and talk to a teacher and ask them what is the most annoying thing that students do in their class is that they're on their phone. They're literally walking around, their face is buried in their phone. They're not learning. They're searching the answer, not really understanding the answer. If there's a low tech way of totally getting rid of radio frequencies inside of your classroom, a lot of schools are already made of brick because a lot of them are makeshift shelters in the first place. So a lot of schools are already fortified bunkers in the first place with windows. The last thing that a teacher can do if you truly wanted to stop all radio signals in your classroom is to put Faraday fabric over the windows. Radio frequencies don't punch through brick. I don't care what it is. Especially at the power levels that cell phones work at, this is taking knowledge of understanding what cell phones can and can't do and applying it to an old way of policing people in a classroom. Let's see. Yeah, Tesla Tech guy says our education sucks in the U.S. Yes, it does. I'm sure hope this next administration fixes it. I'm hoping the same exact thing, but I'm not holding my breath. That's about as political as I'm going to get. But I will say this: uh, school teachers. I try to tell any school teacher if they want to know, buy some Faraday fabric on Amazon, put it over top of like over your windows, and it will kill every radio signal coming into your classroom. If the Wi-Fi is already part of your classroom, that's the only thing it won't kill because it's already inside the classroom. So that's how you basically black out everybody's cell phone. Now remember, low tech way means it's discriminatory, so that means it's going to knock out your cell phone too as a teacher. So if you're waiting for that text message from your boyfriend, you won't get it, or boyfriend or girlfriend. We're not going to assume that teachers are all females. There's male teachers out there too. So the same thing with AI. You know, I think that what teachers and the educational apparatuses need to do is go backwards. I think that in today's chat GPT era where you could just, search the answer up, you force the kids to go back and write all the answers down. Don't accept anything digital. Everything written. Everything written. Because what ends up happening is that even if they are copying, they have to translate the copy and understand what the answer is back from what is going on, and you forcing them to learn as they're trying to copy. I even went so far and told the teacher, I said we should go back to writing in quill ink with the feather in it. Make them dip the ink in some oil, some ink, and write everything down in cursive. That really mess up Chat GPT users all day, because not only do you have to write it in cursive, which is already hard to do for a lot of kids today, but then you have to read everything that it says and understand it. Those kids will actually learn while doing. But that's just me. I'm diabolical like that. But overall, search is going to change completely. Even when it comes down to information gathering. All these AI systems are basically just scouring the web, trying to get more information more than the other. So, where do you stand at with this? The I think that overall, search is going to change on all these different platforms. I mean, they war right now, and we're starting to see a new age of search. There we go. Oh, all right. So I'm about to talk about automotive, but not in the way that you think. I know that a couple of people who follow my channel are about to say, "Oh God, he's going to talk about EVs." And no, I am not talking about EVs today, but not much. Let's see. Tesla Tech, it says I have to go drive for Uber and DoorDash. Have a good one. Hey, you have a good one also. Stay safe out there. Let's see. Oh, and Jim, the No Radio guy, he's working on that album, man. He's working on his album. So, you know, you gotta be able to focus on one thing at a time. Which I would like to say that, hey, AK No Radio, aka Aries, has dropped his single called Insecurities on Apple Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, pretty much all the major ones. Look it up underneath Aries LUV and insecurities. Let me see if I can pull this up so you can see it. That's a shout out for my boy. Where is it at? Gotta wait for this commercial. Skip. So Mr. No Radio / Aries is working on that album. So this is the single from that album, from what I could tell. I haven't heard the whole project, but I've gotten glimpses. I'm liking what I'm hearing. So this is on YouTube Music. Support my boy. You know, he's putting out that old school R&B. But this is from his album. Show some love. Let's see. First one. This from the from the transportation side. How many people in here have heard of CVTs? All right, so if you don't know what a CVT is a constant variable transmission. Now, Toyota makes one, Nissan makes one, a lot of different companies make them, but their inherent flaw, if you want to call it a flaw, is one, sometimes they go cheap on the product. Yeah, sometimes they go cheap on the product, but the CVT transmission is a pulley based system. Now it gives you infinite ratios when it comes to input and output, but it loses a lot of its efficiency through friction using a belt. This company that I have pulled up in front of everyone basically has done away with the pulley and did everything through gears. So it's a complete gear-based CVT, which is not without some drawbacks, but I think like once you start, making the product and making it better and refining it, you can start working out some of the problems when it comes to it being a CVT. And I think that this is the first step. They have this for mechanical bikes right now. So there's different videos. Let's see, what is this from? Newatlas.com. It's called the Ratio Zero CVT. So, hold on. Gotta drink some water. Remember, people, stay hydrated. But CVTs basically work on the premise of having infinite amount of gear ratios for given power output from whatever pedals, engines, electric vehicles. Doesn't matter what, if it's spinning, you get different ratios of gear ratios from it. The CVT that Toyota does, I would say, is the gold standard. I've had 2 vehicles that had CVTs in it, never had any issues, still had good torque, high-end torque from them. I didn't, now granted, I drive differently. I don't slam, I don't slam my vehicle. I never really slam my vehicles hard. So that could go well with the longevity of said products. But these new CVTs that are coming out now are all mechanical, which you would think having more gears in place would give you more problems, but it gives you more efficiency. Now that part I did not know. As I was reading this article, I did not know that the efficiencies of CVTs were like mid 80% in efficiency. Let's see, where did I see that? Where did I see it? But if you want to, there's a couple of videos on this website. If you want to go through and start learning about, which one is better, manual, CVTs, or automatics, I recommend this. But the ratio ratio zero geared CVT and how it works, it basically takes rotation energy and cuts it in half. And basically, that's how you get the higher ratios because no one gear is actually providing all the torque to said product or to the output. Now, with just me being a novice, I mean, it sounds like a good technology, but there are some inherent problems when you have gears that are not fully rotating. Your output becomes very jittery. And like, I'm gonna show this one. This is on YouTube, but they're basically showing what the gears do and how the input is and how you can get from a 0 to 600% on a bike hub. Uh, Inside of a lot of different transmissions, especially like car transmissions, they use hydraulic um, positioning. This one's using electric motors to position the gearing, but if you scale this up higher, it would probably end up being hydraulic gearing. But I recommend this is a good reading. I just think that this is going to have a harder time due to the fact of the complexity of the gear system versus what Toyota has done when it comes to their CVT technology. Toyota's been in the game for a lot longer, and their CVTs are coming with warranties, which is going to make this a little bit harder to get up to market per versus, let's say, a new product. That's what I think. Let's see, but this can go a long way if they can make it more reliable. Electric motors can benefit from this. More efficiency from electric motors because gearing is always the problem. I don't think a lot of people realize in the Tesla Model Y that I drive, it's fixed gears. It's only one gear set for the front and one gear set for the rear. And that's that gear all the way from 0 to 70 miles an hour. Then yes, you can run electric motors from 0 to 70, no problem, but it still takes a lot more energy to go at 70 miles an hour than it does 10 miles an hour. And that's where gear ratios improve on efficiencies, which with technologies like this coming out, it's going to make things a lot better across the board. Let's see. My last story, watching the old die. All right. So if you're a fan of just internal combustion engines, that's totally fine. I mean, I think that we inked out all we could and all we can out of those. But the new landscape is about going, less gas, hybrids, or even full electric. So Ford has canceled its Model E dealership program and set EV pricing models. So at first, when I read this model, I was like, "Yo, they're getting rid of the dealerships." No, Ford is trying to compete with today's economy, and today's economy shows ease of use in buying, and people are buying cars online. They're not even setting foot in dealership rooms anymore. And you want to be able to reach out to these people. You want to have a chance to get inside their living room, but if you don't have anything to really offer them, they're not going to you. And you don't want to go and deal with like your Ford product being on like, Carvana or Vroom. So Ford is trying to figure out a way to exist in today's, buy on your cell phone economy. I mean, that's pretty much what we're doing now. We buying everything on our phones. And Ford is trying to find its place. The dealerships are making this hard. I've had conversations with people, even my counterpart, Aries slash No Radio, and we differ on this. But I think that the reason why we differ on electric vehicles is due to the fact that there's a underlying entity that want to make money, and if it doesn't make money for them right away, they're not going to push it, which is basically what it comes down to. Which is why you end up hearing bad things about electric vehicles. But the dealership model is revolved around, getting the customer to come back again and being dependent and buying their tires and rotating their tires and getting oil changes. Electric vehicles don't have all those problems. So, with that being said, if you're a dealership owner, what product are you going to end up pushing? Which is always what I tell people when it comes to getting advice or like asking people for information. You should get your information from somebody who knows what's going on, but don't benefit from your buying power. Like I talk to people, as I'm charging my car up, somebody walks up and asks me questions, and I try to give them my honest answer, my honest opinion, because I don't benefit from whatever they do. And I'm going to give them my raw opinion because it doesn't benefit me one way or the other. I just like to have the conversation. But if you go to the dealership, they're going to be like, "Hey, you don't want that thing over there." They don't. They see that electric vehicle as a hindrance. They don't see it as a money making proposition. So even if it would benefit you per se to have an electric vehicle, they're not going to push it on you because they don't see a profit margin that involves them in your life, which is why Ford is going to have the hardest problem underneath a dealership program model. Even GM, I think GM is probably just pushing it a lot harder. I don't even think they're giving it like their dealerships a lot of leeway. Ford has been kind of trying to do a balancing act, but I don't know how much they're going to end up being able to do because when it comes down to it, if the old has been making you money, people have a tendency to gravitate towards the old. A lot of people don't like new. I, I like new. I love the new. That's me. But what say you? How do you feel about it? Are you anti EV because you heard somebody say something bad, or do you actually know about EVs and still think they're a bad option? Not many people know about EVs and still think it's a bad option. I think a lot of people, once they realize what the benefits of going full electric is, to end up actually seeing the benefits and understanding the benefits. That's just where I stand at. But I don't know. Ford is having a hard time with this. And I think a lot of companies are going to have a hard time with this. So just curious about where people stand. But thank you, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I need the people. I need the people. Remember, if you want to be part of the channel, it's through the memberships or the Patreon. Memberships at the bottom of the screen. My Patreon link it's going to be in the description below. If you are not the type of person who likes to pay, totally fine. There's an option for you also. You can do Twitter and post a link, and then let me and then add directly to me via the link in the description below, which is my Twitter and my personal on Twitter/X. I'm probably going to end up updating that to Blue Sky because I feel like I might get more engagement from there too. I have to be open to all of it. But thank y'all for watching, and y'all have a good one.